Now we are coming to modifications of leaves. Already we have studied the primary functions of the leaf. The leaf is performing two important functions. One is photosynthesis. Okay. Now next one is a transpiration, that is evaporation of excess of water. Then additional functions also there. That is what in the primary function, exchange of gases. That is during photosynthesis carbon dioxide is taken, oxygen is given. During respiration oxygen is taken, carbon dioxide is given. Exchange of gases, like that some primary functions. But in some plants the leaves are modified. Okay. Now one part of the leaf or the entire leaf is modified to form special structure to perform additional functions. Now for that only modifications are there. Modification means change in the shape, size and structure of the leaf to perform special functions. Leaves are modified. Modified means what? Change in the shape, size, structure to do some special functions. Leaves are modified either entirely, that means full leaf is modified, or partially, one part of the leaf is modified. The next condition, the modified parts include, what are the modifications? We have to see what are the special structures. Tendrils, coiled spring-like structure, hooks, some thorn-like structures which are curved. Next one is spines, thorns, straight thorns will be there. Swollen, the leaves will be bulged so that it is swollen, thicker, it will be very, very thicker. Fillowed. Okay. Now one part of the leaf, it can be petiole or it can be the rachis or anything. The fillowed means the petiole is a part of the leaf. The petiole is green and flattened, but lamina is not green and flattened. So the flattened petiole, leaf like flattened petiole is called what is that? Fillowed. Pitcher means one cup-like structure which is present in insectivorous plants. Bladder, it is also small spherical bladder-like structure for catching the insects. Now these are all the modifications. Spring-like structures, curved hook. Next one is spines, that is thorn-like structures. Swollen, that is bulging. Next one is petiole, is a broad and green. Pitcher and bladder are for taking the insects. Now we will take what are the various types of leaf tendrils. Where we can find the leaf tendrils? Either entire lamina or part of the lamina is modified. Either entire lamina or part of the lamina is modified. I already told you tendril means what? Coiled spring-like structure to climb over the support, for climbing over the support. So modified into coiled spring-like structure, that is called a tendril. Coiled spring-like structure means tendril. Now I am taking the first one. Entire leaf is modified, okay, into tendril. Example, Lathyrus. Okay, example, Lathyrus. Lathyrus is nothing but what is that? Pea plant, sweet pea we are calling that. Now in that plant, now this is the stem, branch is there. Now this is the lamina, it is entire lamina. Like that many more lamina will be there. Normal green leaves will be present. Okay, petiole, lamina, midrib, veins, everything will be there. But in the next node, if you take, you cannot find the green flattened leaf lamina here, but the leaf is completely modified into coiled spring-like structure. Here you can see that everywhere. Maybe 2, 3, 4 like that. They are converted into coiled spring-like structure. So in the place of a complete leaf, coiled tendril will be present. That is called entire leaf is changed into tendril. Example, Lathyrus. Now you take this plant. Leaf tip is modified into tendril, spring-like structure. Example, Gloriosa. Okay, Gloriosa. Now if you take this is the lamina. Okay, this is the lamina, this is the base of the lamina, middle portion, but the tip of the lamina should be pointed here, but it is extended like a coiled spring-like structure. It will be like this, but one small portion is given. So the tip of the leaf lamina is changed into coiled structure, that is tendril. So the partial part of the leaf, that leaf tip is modified, Gloriosa. But all these modifications are for climbing on the supporting plant. Now leaf hooks, I already told you, hooks means the thorn-like structures but the tip is bent, that is called a hook. Leaves modified into hook-like structures to climb on the support. In Begonia, name of the plant, Begonia, the terminal leaflets are modified into the 3 sharp curved hooks, that is fixed number. The terminal leaflets, that means what? It is compound leaf. Branches will be there. On either side of the branches, leaflets will be there. So three sharp curved hooks to climb over the bark of the trees. You know what is that? Big trees like a banyan tree or mango tree, neem tree and all. The outer skin will be there, which is a dried and having lot of a rough surface. That is called bark. Over the bark, with the help of the curved hooks, they can climb on the support. Now we are taking this begonia. Okay, begonia. This is the stem. Here the leaf petiole is there. After the petiole, it is called rachis. Now this is the rachis. On the rachis, two leaflets will be there. Okay, only one pair of leaflets will be there. Next, we are expecting two more leaflets here, one leaflet here. But all the three leaflets are modified into, see that, thorn. It is a thorn, but at the tip, it is a curved. Okay, at the tip, it is curved like a hook. That is called the hook, leaf hook. With the help of the hooks, they can climb on the rough surface of the trunk of the plant. Now we are coming to the third one, leaf spines. Spines means actual thorns. They are straight. They are not bent. Okay, the leaves develop spinosant. Spinosant means thorn-like structure. Spinosant structures, either on the surface or on the margin. So the lamina is there. This is the entire lamina, upper surface, lower surface. Now the spines, the thorns will be there on the upper surface and lower surface. Sometime what will happen, they will not be present on upper and lower surface. They are present at the margins. So anyway the arrangement will be there. But the lamina is bearing thorns, or the petiole is bearing thorns, whatever it is. So the leaves develop spinosant structure either on the surface or on the margin. These spines protect the leaf from herbivores. Why the spines are there on the lamina or at the margin of the lamina? The leaf lamina is the food for herbivores. So the herbivores will try to destroy the leaves. But the spines, the thorns, are giving protection to the leaves from the herbivores. These spines also protect the leaves from xeric condition. Now what is that xeric condition? Dried condition. Sometimes the dried condition, the plant is getting very less water, but sunlight is very intense and the temperature is very high. So the water will evaporate too much, but the thorns are reducing transpiration. So plant is not losing much water. So that is for xeric condition. Then prickles, that means thorns. Prickles are small sharp outgrowths. If they are long, we are using them thorn. If they are short, we are calling them as prickles or small sharp outgrowths of epidermal cells, outer layer of cells of the leaf, which help in scrambling over the other plants. Okay, that means they can climb over the other plants. Now this is actually the introduction for spines. Now we are taking this first plant, Solanum trilobatum. Now this is a medicinal plant, very commonly growing everywhere. Now this Solanum trilobatum, okay, it is in Tamil, common name is there, Thuduvalai. Now in this plant, this is the main stem, leaves are there. Now this is one leaf, I will take only one leaf, petiole. Lamina is divided into some lobes. See the shape of the lamina, having some projections, okay, this is the lamina. Midrib is there, veins will be there, that and all we need not bother about it. But on the surface of the leaf, on the outer surface of the leaf, we can find thorns, not only on the upper surface, lower surface also thorns will be there. On the upper surface, maybe 5 or 6 thorns will be present, short thorns. Like that lower surface, 4 or 5 thorns will be there. Even the petiole, what is present here, the petiole is the stalk of the leaf. Even on the petiole, a few thorns will be present. That is Solanum trilobatum. The next one is Opuntia. It is called a cactus plant. Now in Opuntia, the stem is modified into green flattened structure. Already we have studied in stem modifications. The stem is green and flattened, performing the function of photosynthesis. Okay, they are provided with the chlorophyll. But the leaves are modified into groups of thorns. You see that over the green stem, lot of thorns will be present, sharp thorns. So the thorns are nothing but modified leaves. So you can't find the green flattened leaves. So they are called thorns. Now why the plant is having the leaves which are modified into thorns? What is the purpose? Now the plant is living in dry area where the water is not available. The soil is most of the time dry. So the root is absorbing water, supplying the water to the stem. But the stem is having special tissues to store water for future. Transpiration will not be possible because transpiration is possible through the leaves. So the stem is storing water so that the stem becomes thick and flattened. Thick and flattened because of too much of water stored. Then the leaves, if the leaves are green and flattened, water from the stem will come to the leaf and the water will be evaporated, transpired. But to preserve that water, to conserve the water, the leaves are completely modified into thorns. Once the leaves are modified into thorns, through the thorns, the evaporation of water will not take place. So the plant is always conserving water. So the plant will be healthy even if it is extremely dry. That is the purpose of it. Second one, the stem is green, thick, fleshy, leathery, having lot of water. So cattle will try to come and eat the stem, but the thorns are there everywhere. The thorns will not allow the cattle to touch the stem. So the stem is well protected. That is the purpose of the thorns modification, leaf spines. Storage leaves. Now in some plants the leaves are storing food. So that becomes the part of the food for us. Now what are the storage leaves we are going to see? In some plants have succulent leaves. Now biology one term is that succulent means thick and fleshy. Thick and leathery, that is called a succulent. Even the previous one, the stem of cactus, Opuntia, if you take, it is thick and leathery. It is called a succulent stem. The same name we are giving. The plants, some plants have succulent leaves, thick and leathery leaves to store water. Not only water, mucilage or food. Anything can be stored. Now that is very, very important for future of the plant. Okay, that is the first one. These plants grow in saline area. What is the meaning of saline area? Soil is slightly having more salt, not too much. Okay, so the soil is unusual and it is having more amount of salt. That is saline area or xeric habitats. Xeric means dried places like desert or the sides of the desert. That is xeric habitats. Now we are going to take the first one, aloe. Very common name, aloe vera. We are telling that aloe vera. Now this is even in the pot we can that is culture this plant. Now the root system will be there. No, but the leaves if you take, they are very long, green and very, very thicker. Even sometimes the leaf may extend 1 foot to 2 feet. Okay, such a long leaf will be there. But the leaf is a very, very thick and leathery. Now if you cut, the leaf may be 1 inch thickness. The middle of the leaf may be 1 inch thickness. That is called a leathery, succulent. Okay, so the leaves are succulent. Now the leaf is storing water, mucilage as well as food. All the three are stored here. The best example is what? Aloe. The second one is cabbage. Cabbage. Now the cabbage is the vegetable. In the vegetable shop we can find that. Many leaves are coming layer after layer. That is actually. In the cabbage, it is a vegetable. The leaves which are irregularly arranged. Okay, they are not regularly arranged. Irregularly arranged. And it is becoming a spherical mass. More or less spherical mass like. So lot of leaves will be present in this. Each leaf is storing food. The leaf we are cooking and we are consuming. Because the leaves are having lot of minerals. Okay, lot of minerals, protein, everything is present, including vitamin. So that is a storage food. Now we are coming to fill load. I already told you in the introduction, fill load means the petiole is modified. Petiole is a part of leaf. Don't think that only the lamina is the leaf. One leaf means leaf, petiole, leaf base, petiole, lamina. All the three together only we are calling it as the leaf. So in the leaf, the petiole, now this is the petiole, here compound leaf is present, rachis, then leaflets will be present. But the petiole is green and flattened, very green, long and flattened, very larger. Now the best example for this is, okay, for the fill load, what we can say, acacia. Okay, the best example is acacia. Now in this plant, why the petiole is green and flattened, we have to say. Now first I will come to the leaflets. They are compound leaves. The leaves are leaflets. They are reduced into very small size. The size of the each leaflet is very, very small. So the small leaflets, whatever the number may be, they cannot prepare sufficient food for the whole plant. They cannot prepare sufficient food. Like that, many will be there, but not possible. So they can prepare only 50% of the needed food or 60% of the needed food. So the plant will become very weak. But the petiole of every leaf is a very long, green and flattened. So the petiole is performing the function of photosynthesis. If the petiole is a green, flattened and performing the function of photosynthesis, it is called a fill load. Okay, it is called a fill out. So, how much food shortage is there? That much amount of food will be prepared by the flattened petiole. That is fill out. That is a example. Now, petiole or rachis is modified into flat green leaf-like structure. The lamina or leaflets are highly reduced. I told you already. The size is very much reduced, so they cannot perform the function. Phyllodes perform the function of photosynthesis. So, how much shortage of food prepared by them, that is compensated by the phyllodes. Now, we are coming to insectivorous plants. Picture. Now, this is a peculiar one. Only in some forest we can find this. Only in some forest. The leaf of the pitcher plant is modified into a cup-like structure with a lid. See that? Not full lamina. The part of the leaf of pitcher of the plant is modified into a cup-like structure with a lid. Now we are taking one lamina, green lamina will be there. Half of the lamina will be normal. Half of the lamina will be normal. After that, the remaining half of the lamina, if you take, it is modified into a cup-like structure, an elongated cup-like structure. Now the mouth is widely opened. We can see by naked eye. The length of the pitcher may be 4 or 5 centimeters. Now the one part of the leaf is modified into an elongated cup-like structure. This cup-like structure, the pitcher is visible, very visible. We can see by naked eye. It may be 3 or 4 inches in length. Now this is a circular mouth, and here you can see that one lid is present. Okay, one lid which is covering the mouth. It can cover and it can open, but the lid is beautifully colored like a normal plant. The best example for this pitcher plant is Nepenthes. As I told, it is present only in some forest. Now the insectivorous plants, the pitcher insectivore, is depending on insects body for protein. The plant can prepare starch, but protein is very, very important. So the protein is obtained from the body of the insects. So the cup is producing, now the cup is produced, now the cup is producing digestive enzyme. Now inside the cup, if you take, nearly about half of the cup or 1/3 of the cup is filled with a fluid inside. That fluid is called digestive enzymes. The lid is beautifully colored, that attracts the insects. The cup is trapping the insect. For example, the lid is kept open. It is beautifully colored. Now the insect is misunderstanding, maybe butterfly or any other insect. Okay, it is attracted by this colored lid. The insect is thinking that it is a beautiful flower. So it is trying to come and take the nectar. So the insect is coming and sitting on the mouth. Now the insect is seeing some fluid is present inside, thinking that it is large amount of nectar. So the insect will try to enter to take the nectar, but it is not nectar, it is digestive enzyme. Once the insect is entering inside, the lid is closed. The lid is closing the mouth. So the insect cannot escape. The insect will move up and down. Finally, it will fall on the fluid. Now, if it is falling on the fluid, the digestive enzyme is digesting the body of the insect and absorbing the protein present in the body. Okay, so digest the insect. This is actually the mechanism. It is also meant for nutrition, but taking protein from animal's body. Now we are coming to bladder. It is also an insectivorous plant. It is also the modification of insectivorous plant. But this plant, best example is Utricularia. Now this is living in water, fresh water. It may be in lake or ponds or anywhere. But in the pond or lake, the plant is immersed in water. The plant is immersed in water. It is having very thin branches. Stems will be there. Now this is a branch. Okay. Now here the petiole is there. The petiole lamina. The lamina is modified into more or less spherical bag-like structure. Now this spherical bag-like structure is having a narrow opening here. Okay, one narrow opening with a lot of tentacles at the mouth region. Lot of tentacles. So that is called a bladder. So in plant like bladderwort is nothing but Utricularia. Both are same. This is common name. Bladderwort is the common name. This is the botanical name, Utricularia. In plants like bladderwort, the roots and the leaves are submerged. Roots are submerged in water. Even leaves are also submerged. Instead of that, we can say the whole plant is immersed in water. The submerged leaves are modified into more or less spherical shaped bladder. So the leaves which are immersed in water are modified into spherical bladder. These bladders trap the small insects present in water. Now the mouth is kept open, tentacles are there. In the water, some insects will be moving here and there, worms, insects, everything. Suppose the insect happens to enter into the bladder, the tentacles are closing the mouth, so digesting the insect inside. The same mechanism like previous one. That's we have completed bladder. Now we are coming to the next part, floral leaves. Now normally leaves means we are thinking that stem is there, on the stem, from the lot of nodes are there. From the node, the leaves are arising like leaf base, petiole, lamina. It may be simple leaf or it may be compound leaf. But we are going to talk about now floral leaves. The leaves present in a flower. Floral means flower. They are becoming the parts of a flower. The leaves are becoming parts of a flower. Such leaves which are present in the flowers are called floral leaves. Flowers have 4 whorls of floral leaves. 4 whorls, 4 rows, outer row, next inner row, there is a third inner row, central row, like that. 4 whorls of floral leaves will be present. They are, what are the 4 whorls? We have to see, calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Take this word, androecium, A-N-D-R-O-E. E is a silent, we should not pronounce it. Now, O is a silent, E is a pronounced. Now, androecium and gynoecium. Here also O is there, O-E. Gynoecium, androecium and gynoecium. But the details of these names and all we will study in the next part. That is a reproductive morphology. You will come across this. Now for example, one simple flower is given. Now this is the stalk of the flower. Okay, this is the stalk of the flower. Now here you can see that outermost whorl, which is green in color. It is forming a cup-like structure. It is called a calyx. Now inside the calyx, some large colorful lobes will be present. Maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, any number. They are called the petals. They form the next whorl, which is called the corolla. The colorful parts are called what? Corolla. Green whorl is called the calyx. Colorful whorl is called the corolla. Next is a number of long filaments with a yellow color bag-like structures will be there. They are joining together form androecium, male reproductive part of the flower. Then at the center of the flower, any flower if you take, one bulging portion is there, that is called the ovary. A long tube is there, it is called a style. And the next one is a stigma. Okay, next one is stigma. Now the entire region is called a pistil. The entire region is called a pistil. It is also called, pistil is also called a gynoecium. It is a female reproductive part. Now all are modified leaves. All are modified floral leaves. Androecium and gynoecium are essential parts. They are considered as essential. Essential means the most important parts. Why? They are important for reproduction. Just now I told androecium is male reproductive part, gynoecium is the female reproductive part. Without androecium and gynoecium, a plant cannot reproduce. So that they are called essential parts. Generally, corolla is colored to attract the insects for pollination. Androecium contains a stem anthers. Anthers means the yellow color bag-like structures. The anthers are producing pollen grains. Pollen grains are male gametes, okay, for reproduction. Gynoecium has ovary. Now this is the ovary. Gynoecium is having ovary that produces ovules. Now small ball-like structures will be produced inside the ovary. They are called the ovules. Ovules are like eggs. Pollen grains are male gametes. They fuse together and form seeds, that is floral leaves. Now we are coming to P-T-Y-X-I-S. P is a silence. Tyxis. We have to pronounce it as Tyxis. Now what is the meaning of Tyxis? Now the leaf lamina is there. Sometimes the leaf lamina may folding. Okay, it may fold for various reasons. Okay, folding. Sometimes the lamina, green flattened lamina, is a rolling like paper. Paper, how the paper is rolled, you know, like that it will be rolled. Rolling or folding of lamina is called Tyxis. Okay. Now types of Tyxis. What are the different methods of foldings? What are the different patterns of what is the rolling? We have to see. That only types of Tyxis. First one is reclinate. What is the meaning of reclinate? We have to see. The upper half of the leaf is folded. That means upper surface, half of the leaf is folded. Now example, I'll take this one. Okay, the example, it is a folded upward. That is the region of the lamina between the veins. Already we have studied, veins are running at the side. So one vein, second vein, the lamina is present between that. It is folding upward. So the region of the lamina between the veins folded upwards. Example, Eriobotria. Eriobotria. Now this is the Eriobotria leaf. One leaf is enlarged. Now this is the midrib. Now veins are there. Okay, the veins are there. Now between one vein and the other vein, the green portion is folded up. It is convoluted, folded up. So everywhere you can see this folding like that, this side also. This is one type of folding. It is called what? Reclinate. The second one is conduplicate. See that? C-O-N, conduplicate. But we have to pronounce it as conduplicate. Now in conduplicate, the lamina is folded lengthwise along the midrib. Now I am going to take this leaf. Example, Bauhinia. Name of the example, Bauhinia. Now we are taking, this is a petiole. Now the lamina. The lamina is divided into two lobes, but it is not completely divided. Okay, it is divided into two lobes. Now here midrib is there. Veins will be there. Now at the time when it is necessary, what will happen? One lobe and the other lobe along with the midrib at the center, they will be folding, they are coming closer to each other. The upper surface and upper surface will touch each other. Okay, that is called a conduplicate. Now the lamina is folded lengthwise along the midrib. Now the midrib is the center, then they are closing each other. Example, Bauhinia. Now we are coming to the third type of folding, plicate. P-L-I-C-A-T-E, plicate. It is also called a plaited. Any one term you can use, plaited. The lamina is repeatedly folded lengthwise in zigzag manner, not regular manner, zigzag manner. Example, borassus. Example, borassus. Now this is the borassus, palm tree, borassus. Palm leaf we are taking. Now this is the stalk, the lamina is present, but in the lamina if you take, a number of foldings will be there with the veins. A number of veins will be present. That is actually a number of lamina is repeatedly folded. Now see that one folding, second fold, third, fourth, fifth, like that. Maybe about 40-50 foldings will be present. Okay, folded lengthwise in zigzag manner. One is up, another one is down. Again up, again down, like that. Example, that is borassus. The next one is circinate. C-I-R, circinate. What is the meaning of circinate? Leaf is rolled, but here it is not folded, it is rolling. The leaf is rolled from apex towards the base. Now from the tip it is folding. Now for example, this is the leaf. Example, fern. Now this is the fern leaf, full leaf. Now this is the tip. But if you see the picture, you can see that the leaf tip is folding inward and slowly it is rolled over that. Maybe a part of the leaf lamina will be rolled. Now this is the tip of the lamina here. The leaf tip is rolling like this. How we are closing the fingers in the palm like that, it is coming closer. That is actually called, what is that? Circinate. Example, fern. Next one is convolute. Okay, convolute. What is the meaning of convolute? Convolution, we are telling. Lamina is rolled from one margin to the other. Example, banana. How the lamina is folding from one margin to another. Now you take the young leaf of banana, not old leaves. Old leaves are stretched. But young leaves at the center on the top if you take, it will become green, very soft, green, very long tube-like structure you can find. But if you observe that one and if you see that, margin will be there. If you remove the margin, like a coiled one, the paper coiled like, paper roll like, it will come away. That type of coiling, that type of folding or coiling, we can call it as convolute. Lamina is rolled from one margin to the other. So inner margin will be at the center, outer margin will be at the outermost region. Like how we are taking one long paper and just we are rolling it. How it is rolled like that, this will be there. That is called convolute. Example, banana. Now we are coming to the next one, involute. Convolute, after that involute. What is the meaning of involute we will take? The two margins rolled towards the midrib on the upper surface. Example, antigonan. Antigonan. Now this is the leaf of plant, Antigonan plant. Lot of leaves are there, but one leaf, one person is holding that. Now this is the leaf. Now this is the margin, this is another one margin. This margin is a folding slowly towards the midrib. This margin is also folding towards that. At the end of that, if you take, two rolls will be there. Midrib will be at the center, two rolls will be present. So this half of the lamina is rolled one side, this half of the lamina is rolling, but the rolling is starting from margin towards the midrib. This is called involute. The next one is crumpled. Okay, crumpled. What is the meaning of crumpled? Irregular folding of lamina. Okay, we can't give any other explanation. Example again, cabbage. Now one leaf in the cabbage at the outermost region. When you remove it, lot of foldings will be there, but we cannot guess how it is folded. No regular folding. Now everywhere you can see on the lot of foldings, irregular foldings will be present. Example, cabbage.